Hello everyone and welcome to our Excel tutorial series. In this video, we're going to talk about some conditional functions, right? And by conditional functions, I mean that they output something or they return something when a condition is true, right? So in today's video, we're going to talk about four such functions, that is if, ifs, and or. Right, so these are the four functions that we're going to talk about. There are a lot more conditional functions which we are going to talk about in the next video. So do stay with us if you want to dig deeper into conditional functions in Excel. So the first function that we're going to talk about today is if, right? So if pretty much as the name implies, it outputs something here in this cell if the condition that you give it is true, right? So here we've got a small data set of 10 students and their marks in maths, their marks in chemistry, and their phone numbers. So we're going to play around with this data and use our four conditional functions. So for the first function, that is if, as I've always been saying that to write a formula, you've got to start it with an equal sign. So this tells Excel that it is a formula. We're going to write if, right? And if you see here, if takes a logical test and then a value if that logical test passes and then a value if that logical test fails, right? So out of these marks, I'm going to see that if um, the marks of the student are, let's say, greater than 60, then we are going to say that the student has passed, right? So I'm going to select this cell here and I'm going to say that if the marks in this cell are greater than 60, then go ahead and give me value passed, right? Oops. And however, if that this condition, the first condition that I gave it, the logical test is not true, then just give me fail, or failed. And I'm going to close this bracket and hit enter, and you see here that Sarah Miller, because she got 97, has passed. So if I now double click over here, it's going to paste that formula in the entire data set, and it's going to tell me who has passed and who has failed. And here you can see Ethan Patel got 39 in maths, so he has failed and all else have passed, right? So that's how an if function works. The next function is going to be ifs. Now, ifs is kind of like the ruler for if, right? So you can give it multiple conditions. So let's say if I want to find out that who got what grade in maths, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to write ifs, and what if takes is a logical test, then the value if that logical test passes, and then the next logical test, and then the next value, right? So how this is going to work is, let's say I want to give these students some grades. So I'm going to say that if the marks in this cell are greater than 90, then the return value or the value that should be in the cell should be A plus, right? So the student should get an A plus grade. Um, should get an A plus grade. However, if the value is greater than 80, then the student should get uh, A. And if the value is greater than 70, then let's go ahead and give the student a C grade, a B grade. And if the value is greater than 60, then let's give the student a C grade. And as we previously said, that if that value is less than 60, right, then sorry, uh, hit the wrong button there. So if the value is less than 60, then we're going to go ahead and say that the student got an F. So let me check this real quick. Okay, so you can see here that this takes multiple conditions, right? Unlike if, which takes one condition, this is taken multiple conditions. So if I hit enter here, you can see that Sarah Miller got 97, so it's an A plus. So now if I copy it on the entire data set, it's going to give me the grades for all the students. And Ethan Patel, just like the last time, got an F because his marks were less than 60. The next conditional formula that we're going to learn about today is the and formula, right? And the and formula basically takes a bunch of a bunch of logical conditions, and it returns either true or false if both of those conditions are true, right? Both of those both or all the conditions that you give it should be true in case of an AND function. So let's see how it works. We're going to write down an AND. So it takes a logical tests, multiple logical tests, right? So let's say that we say that if a student gets greater than 80 in both maths and then in chemistry too, right? So then we are going to uh, we then we want to know if that is true or false, the condition is true or false, right? So if I hit enter, you can see that Sarah Miller, because her marks in chemistry are less than 80, so it gives us a false. So if I paste it on all of the cells, you can see that only one condition is true, that is for Sophia Turner, right? But this is not very meaningful. So usually and statements are usually wrapped in an if statement, so we can use it in combination with an if statement. So if I write here, if I write if here and close it in an if statement. So as we just learned that if statement returns takes a logical test, then that logical test is this and condition, and then it takes a value if that logical test is true, or then it takes one that is false. So let's say if both the cells both the marks were greater than 80, then let's go ahead and return an excellent, right? And but otherwise let's give them a fair, right? So if I hit enter here, you can see that that false is now turned into fair. And if I copied it onto entire data set, into entire column, so only one student has got excellent, that is Sophia Turner, who had 81 in maths and 85 in chemistry, right? So this is a very useful function if you want to check multiple conditions and both of those or all of those conditions must be true. The next is the OR condition, and for the OR condition, as the name implies, that it takes multiple conditions but only one of them has to be true, right? So if we say that we want to find out the student who has taken above 80 marks in only one of the two subjects, right? So what we're going to do is that we are going to say that if the marks in maths are greater than 80, and if the marks in, let's say, chemistry are greater than 80, then and let us know if it's true or false, right? So we are going to hit enter, and it, as Sarah Miller had marks 97 in math, so it's true. And if I paste it onto the entire column, it will tell you that who has marks in either at least one of the subjects greater than 80, right? So as we can see, Olivia Perez here has both marks less than 80, so it's a false, and so on. But again, this is not very meaningful, so we're going to wrap this in an if statement, right? So in we're going to the OR condition is going to be our logical test for the if statement, and then we are going to give out a statement. Let's say if it is true, then we are going to say well done, well done, right? However, if it's false, we're going to say keep trying, and then we are going to close it and hit enter. And here you can see that the students who had greater than 80 and at least one of the subjects gets well done and the other gets keep trying, right? So these were some of the logical functions. We're going to dig deeper into the logical functions in the next video, so stay with us and don't forget to like, share and subscribe.